Hello and welcome to the Museum of Jewish Heritage, a living memorial to the Holocaust. I'm Gabriel Sanders, and I'm the public programs producer here at the museum. Thank you so much for joining us for Song Searcher, The Times and Toils of Moyshe Beregovsky. We're very excited to be showing this film and having you all join us. In just a moment, I will introduce Natalie, the producer of the film, and Igor, who is featured in the film, will play violin. He's going to be playing some pieces by Beregovsky, and then we'll show the film. Afterwards, we will have a post-screening conversation that'll include the creative team, Igor, and the people who you see in the program. We at the museum are committed to our crucial mission of educating our diverse community about Jewish life and heritage before, during, and after the Holocaust. As part of that mission, our programs illuminate broader histories of hate and anti-Semitism, stories of resistance against injustice, and more. We hope you'll spend time here at the museum and visit our exhibitions, The Holocaust, What Hate Can Do, Survivors, Faces of Life After the Holocaust, photographs by Martin Scholer, and The Garden of Stones by Andy Goldsworthy. We're very excited for this fall. We'll be opening Courage to Act, Rescue in Denmark, the museum's first exhibition for visitors 9 and up about the incredible story of the Danish rescue. So be on the lookout for that exhibition opening, which is opening in October, and associated programming that'll lead up to it. Before I pass the microphone, I would just like to ask everyone to silence their cell phones, anything else you have that might make noise during today's event and screening. And I am now pleased to introduce Natalie Azarov, producer of the film.
Okay. Thank you very much for coming on August 6th, on Sunday at 2 p.m. to watch this movie. We are really thankful to all of you. I was line producer in New York. I joined this program, this movie team in 2019. I'm very proud to be part of the whole project. And this movie participated already in 12 Jewish film festivals. We were blessed by Miami Jewish Film Festival by Liz Segal, who gave us so many good blessings. And I think it works. It really works because the movie is unique. All materials which our wonderful director, Elena Yakovich, filmed, all of this filming is unique because these places almost do not exist anymore. We filmed this documentary in 2019, before war between Russia and Ukraine, and I would say this job, it's really unique archive job already. Okay, I would like to introduce Igor, is coming to our stage. Igor Polesitsky. You probably read information about our production team. Today, we're missing Victorina Petrosyan. She is filming in Italy right now, but she was heart and soul of this project. It was her idea to film this documentary. She invited Elena Yakovich, its unique director, who filmed more than 100 documentaries, got 10 awards international, and this is one of her latest jobs and one of the, I think, unique job, and she's here. She flew as soon the war started between Russia and Ukraine. Lena, who lives in Moscow, she moved to Israel, and because she was disagree with everything what's going on there. Igor Polesitsky is our violin player who is going to play before the movie a little bit. He's almost world-famous musician. He's the first violin in Florentine Orchestra. And Lyudmila Sholokhova, who is also here, She's curator of New York Public Library, and we will participate in Q&A session, and you can ask all questions after the movie. Okay, thank you again for coming.
Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to be here before this film will be shown. All the music that I'll play for you now, I'll play from the collection of Moyshe Beregovsky, who, as you heard, saved this great patrimony. But I would like to say a few words of what it actually means for me. This is I interpret this music as kind of a testimony of Jewish life of the centuries. So it's a mixture of great pain and great joy, of some kind of self criticism, and at the same time great joy of being part of this people that travel and see life. And so this is actually, for me, it's like a great testimony of life, variations on the theme of life. And so you hear in every piece, it's the great Yiddish violinists were for centuries playing this music as kind of talking to their audience, telling them stories. So I won't tell what it's about, you will hear. Thank you. Just to finish, I want to a little, because we cannot do with the sad thing. So this is a game. This is a patch dance. Maybe we will talk afterwards, after the movie. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone, for staying. We're going to have a quick post-screening conversation. I wanted to first thank Igor so much for playing beforehand.
Oh, thank you.
So there's information about all the people on stage that you received in the program. But just briefly, Natalie Azarov to my right is the producer. As people know, Igor Polesitsky is the violinist and featured in the film. Elena Yakovich is the director. And then Lyudmila Sholokhova is the also featured in the film, the curator of the Dorot Jewish Collection at the New York Public Library. So thank you all so much for joining us. I thought we would start with Elena, the director, and Lyudmila, you have, I think, the other mic on your chair. How did you learn about Beregovsky? What compelled you to make this film?
I learned about Beregovsky from Victoria Petrosyan, the main producer. I learned about Beregovsky from Victoria Petrosyan, who's general producer of the film. She found me in Moscow and told me the story, and it was very exciting. And then we started working. And then I first acquainted and then became friends with granddaughter of Beregovsky, Elena Yakovich, which you saw on screen. That time she returned from Washington to St. Petersburg, where he lived, and at her flat, we just at the very first day found these letters from the camp, and then she accompanied me to Ukraine. And Igor did the same. We came to him to Florence, just to make an interview, and he played a little for us. And suddenly he said, "I'm going to Ukraine also," because as we started talking, he remembered all this, that he wanted to go to Kalinindorf, and it was just an exciting journey just before war. It was remarkable because he decided it just at once. It was the decision which made after interview. And what I want to say, we made shooting in New York quite near the museum, at Battery Park, with these beautiful American musicians and with Mark Zlobin, I suppose he's here. And all the time we were making the shooting, we saw the museum. And we thought then maybe one day we shall show this film in the museum. And now this day came, and so came. And so I'm so glad to greet all of you here.
We're so happy to have you here. And I think one of the musicians featured was Peter Reshevsky, who has been involved with the museum. He'll actually be here in a few weeks for a performance. Before we move on, I just wanted to ask you, Elena, is this film, I know you've done a lot of work, how is this film different or similar to the other work that you've been doing as a director?
How it differed from my other work?
From your other work.
Every work is different from each other, and there are some common in them, because all of them about culture, about history, which very rare gives us lessons, because when we made this film, we didn't suspect that in 2 years all these places will be gaining this front information from France. So it's very difficult to see this film now. It differs because it has many plots. The biography of Beregovsky It's the stories of Holocaust in Transnistria, which is a very rare occasion. As usual, this is the closed pages of the history, because we know what Germans made at the Nazis made at the territory of Ukraine, but very rare we look at these Romanian places. And plus to it, it's Judas Glory, which is from which actually the film began. So because it has many plasts, how to say?
Layers.
How?
Layers.
Layers. That's why it was very difficult to gather it in one. And so a big geography of this film it was Ukraine, St. Petersburg, Florence, New York, Toronto. So it's just a worldwide film because Beregovsky is now all over the world.
This is a question to Lyudmila. We have absolutely amazing consultant in this documentary. One of them is Lyudmila Sholokhova. She worked, first couple of words about you. She started to work with Beregovsky Archive in Ukraine in the library of Vernadsky. After that, she moved to New York and she was invited to the Eva Institute. And she worked there as a director of the library for 15, 16 years. And now she's a curator of New York Public Library. Question to Lyudmila. Mila, can you tell me, how did you recognize in the Eva Institute that it was archive of Beregovsky? You said a couple of words in the movie.
Well, it was very easy for me. First of all, I worked with the Beregovsky materials for a very long time, and I actually reviewed every single page in his archive. And it's very deeply sits in my memory. And when I came across these materials in New York in the ethnographic section of the Vilna collection of the Eva Institute, I immediately recognized these materials. And clearly, as I said, in the film, is a paper, is a stamps on the paper, handwriting, character of the pencils. Everything was sounded everything resonated to me. I remembered everything. And then, since I actually created a very detailed catalog of the Beregovsky collection back in Ukraine, and I could check these materials against my catalog, and these materials, these pages were missing. So just another proof that these are part of the same collection. So it was just really fascinating discovery for me. But I was not surprised, because when you work with the archives, you always find things that really amaze you every single day. But it was an amazing discovery indeed. And I was happy that we found these materials.
But the main discovery was made in Kyiv.
Right. First of all, it was the most amazing discovery. It was back many, many years ago, maybe actually 30 years ago now. So when we actually found these boxes, only by accident, there was a conference on Moyshe Beregovsky, first in St. Petersburg in 1992, and then next year in 1993, there was a conference on Moyshe Beregovsky at the Kyiv Conservatory, and I went there. And the man on stage was saying that, oh, we know that the collection was destroyed and everything was basically, there are people who witnessed that materials were taken outside of the city and just got broken. And then I came back to the library, to the Vernadsky library where I worked at that time, and I spoke with my older colleague, and she was the head of the musical division. And she said, you know, Mila, actually I think I saw one box of the cylinders in the collection of the historical collections. That was a division of the historical collection. So we went there, and they just moved from this location on Podol in Kyiv-Mogilevsky Academia to the central branch in next to the university, also shown in the film. So they just moved, but we didn't know how much is there, and she didn't know. So we simply went, and they said, oh, yes, we have it. And they showed us one box and another box, and there were like 50 boxes, and in each box there were 20 cylinders, so there were actually 51 boxes. One box was not complete. So that, and then we also found the cards and musical transcription, and there were like matching parts, the text, the lyrics to the songs was already in the manuscript division. So somehow everything just opened up to me, and I was working on a completely different topic after the conservatory, like something has to do with French music. And that meeting, this conference and then this discovery completely changed my life. And I left Ukraine 20 years ago. I live in New York for 20 years now. I've worked for the YIVO Institute. But this line, it just goes across all my life, and it never stops. It's kind of really, it's my life journey in a way. And I think this documentary was just really a culmination of the discovery, and it's a beautiful moving film. And I'm watching this film maybe like, I don't know, the 20th time in a row, and I always find something that I didn't notice before, and it always impressed me. It's really a very, very moving documentary, and I always cry when I watch the documentary.
Well, it's very beautifully done, and we're so grateful to have you here with us. I'm wondering, during your 15 plus years at YIVO, now you work at the Dorot Collection, where does this discovery sit for you as in the career you've had of how special it was to be able to find the Beregovsky Collection?
But it sits in my kind of, well, it's just, it's deeply in my heart. It's just really, it's with me every day. And especially when I have a chance to communicate with my colleagues, Elena, and when I listen to Igor's music, when I speak with the Vika and with Natalia, and speak with my colleagues here who came here today to see this documentary or watch it online. It makes my life, it still inspires me, and I still want to do many things with it, like put everything online, like make it accessible to everybody. It's my dream, and I think it's going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And Igor, you're, of course, bringing the music to life, and that's a huge part of this film, and the music, through the playing of it, is able to find new audiences and to continue to have a life. I'm wondering, I mean, you play it so heartfeltly. We saw in the film how much it means to you. Can you share a bit about the experience of discovering this music, how it fits with the rest of the work that you've done?
Yes, I absolutely, what I just heard Mila was saying, I feel exactly the same way. I was born in Kiev, as she, we come from there, and it's many centuries of Ukrainian Jewish life that kind of encapsulated in these tunes. That's, I feel very, very strongly. And I lived with these tunes practically all my life because I learned about this music, to play this music from my grandparents. And they were, I don't know, it's practically my musical life was divided between the classical music training, normal Soviet violin, and which I continued all my life. And at the same time, there was this Jewish side, the Yiddish music, that was very, very different, but extremely important all my life. And I knew about Beregovsky from very early on, because one of the people in close to my family was his friend, was a cello student in Kiev Conservatory when he was a cello student in Kiev Conservatory before the revolution, and he knew about Beregovsky. I knew about Beregovsky's collection, of course. A lot of these tunes I heard from my he collected in Kalinendorf, so I already knew about them. And then I discovered in '82 I was in Curtis Institute of Music in Philadelphia, and I got into my hands this book of Mark Zlobin that was printed with the songs, with part of the instrumental music, and it was like, it became a huge discovery for me, because that was like a really, each tune for me means enormous things. What you can read about it. You see, in Jewish tradition, interpretation of the text is extremely important, and it's interpretation of the musical text that I find most fascinating thing. You know, what you can read in this text, and these texts became this material for musical interpretation for me, and it continues now. It's like all of these years I do that, and I made a quartet in Klezmerata Fiorentina in Florence out of the principal players of the Florence opera. They're fantastic. They're one of the best European classical musicians in Italy. They are 3 Italians. But we are trying to make like improvised chamber music out of it. So that's what I'm doing with it.
Well, and I know, Igor, you're traveling, and it's really special to have you and Elena here with us for this conversation. I wanted to move to Natalie, and then we'll get to some questions from the audience. Just about the process, Natalie, as a producer of making the film, and Elena, you can speak to this too, about the process of bringing all of these disparate pieces together. As you mentioned, there's lots of plots and layers to it. Can you tell us a bit about the process of creating this film, the journey that it took from the beginning of, and how you got, I know that a lot of the interviews, and I'm sure it was a process of discovery.
First of all, I would like to thank you, Elena, for doing such an incredible movie, because without her it was absolutely impossible, and there are 4 layers, and they are all of them very, very difficult to connect. And this is, as an artistic product, it's so difficult, and it could be done only by Elena. Elena was Yakovich, just 1 hour choice for the director. And maybe I will give microphone to her, and she will tell you more about this.
It's very difficult to explain how the film is becoming a film. In my case, is looking like to make a poem, because I never made a scenery before I make a film. First, I just met with Lena. It was a miracle that she returned exactly at the time of the beginning of the film. Then I went to Igor, and suddenly we have a crew going to Ukraine. And we planned, it was a big planning of this journey, of this trip through Ukraine. Because I made contacts with the Jewish communities in every point of our trip. I called in Kiev to the leader of all these communities, and he gave me all the addresses, and I contacted with every person on this trip. And then we started. And what was happening then, it was just a miracle, because we didn't know what will expect us on every, in every place, and we didn't suspect that the roads will be such awful, because it was very difficult just to move really in some places. For example, in Kallenendorf, they're very beautiful places. And though the topic is tragic, we traveled through beautiful Ukraine places. It's seen on the screen. And now it's again the place of the war, which is very, I suspect that some places are not now exist as we made shooting a few years ago. So we gathered all the materials. Sometimes we met the person just who survived through Holocaust. In Tulchin, for example, some people were well known for us. We knew that we shall meet them. Some we met unexpectedly. And then when I gathered all these materials, so then I went to New York, to Toronto, speak to Anna Sternschis, Psoy Korolenko, just especially for us, sang some songs. It was a premiere, for example, about the song of Shabakrič. He just made it for us. He never did it. Some songs were just made. Как оцифровать свалика оцифрованного? Ну вот как-то вот. Some songs were specially made for us from this. Ну да, вот оцифрованные. Что? Wax cylinders were digital, especially for this film, thanks to Mila, because she still had contacts in Kiev. And when all this material was gathered, then I just came and started montage and tried and made step by step. Then I wrote some texts. Then Igor translated it in English, by the way. So we all became friends after this, you know. Beregovsky made Lena, the granddaughter of Beregovsky, is my friend now, and Mila and Igor and Natasha and Vika. So our crew all became friends. And I must say that I had very good cameramen in every place, especially those in Ukraine with whom I made this trip, partly with all the crew, partly just we made it two of us. And there is one cameraman here who helped us in New York. He is now in the hall. And so, and you know, unfortunately, this is the last film for Irina Sergeyeva and for Melamid, Efim, and the film Melamid. Two of those who participated in the film just died while we were making this film. So it's their last. We can see here their last screening. Mm-hmm. So how it was.
Thank you so much. So why don't we turn now to questions, if there are any in the audience. See one over here. We'll bring a mic over to you.
Hello. My name is Julia Zilberquist. I just want to congratulate all the creators of the movie. It's an amazing and such an important movie to all of us. And coincidentally, I just wanted to quickly say that I represent the Yiddish Foundation for Cultural Preservation, and we published a complete bibliographical index of works of Moyshe Beregovsky by Eugenia Hasdan, who was featured in the film, and Lyudmila Sholokhova, who participated in the book. And the book is available on our site, free of charge, yiddish-culture.com. And as a note, I just wanted to say that this culture is not completely extinct, as we can see in the movie, and we're doing everything we can to preserve it. And we're working with Tel Aviv University, creating the scholarship for students to study Yiddish culture, not only the language, but really the culture, the music, the theater, and looking for an archive. So I just want to say bravo and congratulations. I'm very proud of everyone in the team.
I just want to add that in the movie you saw my colleague, from St. Petersburg, Evgenia has done, who actually just compiled this really comprehensive bibliography of Moyshe Beregovsky, about Moyshe Beregovsky. He's writing about him. And that's really comprehensive, really. That she worked on it for very many years, and I know how hard it was just to collect, to get access to all these rare resources, and now this bibliography was just published by the Foundation of Yiddish Culture. And it's a really important resource.
Thank you.
Thank you. I know we also have the book on our site for the event, so if you go to the event page, you'll be able to find it. I think we have a question over here.
Yeah, just wait on the microphone. Thank you. First, that was excellent. Just thank you for sharing that. I guess what I'm thinking about or hoping for elaboration on is the film talks a lot about the relationship between sort of music and community and peoples through time. But also there's this sort of contemporaneous aspect that flows through all of it where, you know, Igor with your family or sort of the musicians playing in different spaces. So what I'm interested in is perhaps behind the scenes when you're playing music and filming, did survivors like, I don't think it was Arkady, but maybe Alexander, who's heard his mother, like you played the song and the voice of his mother. Did you have the opportunity while filming or playing to engage with people and share the music that you're actually filming about in these spaces? And if so, what are the responses or relationships that came out of that?
Well, I also found it extremely moving. This gentleman, this elderly gentleman, you heard the actual voice of his mother singing. I wasn't there. I wasn't there. That filming. I was not at every place where they filmed. So with that particular day, Shmulevich, no?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, he almost had a heart attack there.
Yes.
Yes, it was unbelievably moving.
It wasn't only heart attack. He was just dying just at the place, and it was very difficult to find a doctor there, and it was just a mess. We didn't
It's
know
very
how to help
isolated
him.
places. Yeah, very
But
isolated.
he survived, fortunately.
Yeah.
We
And he
found a
survived.
doctor. Yes.
Yeah, but I was in. I remember playing actually on the streets of Kalinindorf, and I was there. And Kalinindorf does not have any Jews anymore, and the whole place is totally nothing changed there. There's still a school that was built. It was quite a large center there before the war. Now it's much smaller Ukrainian village, and people who live there, they actually, we had a very moving experience there, because there is a elderly gentleman there, not elderly actually, not so elderly, who spoke only Ukrainian, and he brings to this places, to the places of the Jewish burial places, he brings young children. And he tells them the story of the history of the Jews that built those places, because all these villages were built by the Jews in they moved there 1810. That was this Jewish agricultural settlements from 1810 on. And so that was actually the only place in the former Russian Empire where the Jews were allowed to own the land. And so he tells them the stories, and he brings them there. Now there is a war going on right there. That's where all the fighting going on. And one of the houses that was there probably was house of my family, that they lived there for, what, 120 years or so. But I have no idea which house that was, because you know, we only have graves now. But I played there on the streets, and some people stopped and listened. Yeah, I was, and Elena was saying, "Oh, where's the cameraman? Where's the cameraman?" But there was some interaction with people. But you also, you know, I was in Berdichev, in the incredible cemetery in Berdichev. All those places in Ukraine, it's an enormous Jewish history, which is physically there. I mean, you've got to understand that. It's all there. The smaller shtetls in Ukraine, they did not change much. Bela Tserkva in Ukrainian, it's all there. It's also amazing Ukrainian people now that we met there that are taking care of this history. There's a Jewish school in Bela Tserkva. There is a Jewish school, and we were taken around by these people, both few Jews and Ukrainians. It's all going on, you know, and I would love to go back there and play, but now it's impossible.
Her name is Natalie Andrushenko, and now she's saving Jewish children, and not only Jewish. In Bela Tserkva, she always made in Facebook.
Yes. Yeah, they did incredible things there in Bela Tserkva. Absolutely incredible.
No, just during the war now.
Yeah.
And I must say a few words about this person in Kalinindorf. He's Ukrainian, and he's the teacher of history in this school. And he made a museum of Jewish culture in this school. And first he wasn't very friendly with us, because he said, "You didn't make a scenery, you don't know anything about this." And then he started to help, and of course we became friends. And he absolutely remarkable person. Really, all his life he just tried to save this Jewish history of Kalinindorf, being Ukrainian, and he's just in the center of this Jewish history, being a teacher of history in Kalinindorf.
We have time for one more question, if there is one. Down here.
I was thanking everybody for creating this wonderful movie and talking about how important I think it is for the younger generation to see this and know this. I wanted to ask maybe a personal question of all of you. How's Jewish music, how's klezmer music different from other music? Igor touched on it a little bit, talking about his grandmother, having him speak with his violin and not play. But maybe you could talk about what's special and different about it. Thank you.
Well, it's a very it's a fantastic question, and it's a very difficult question, because we are still all talking about it. Or everybody who is involved in the Yiddish music now, in klezmer music and Yiddish song and everything. I can only say my personal feelings about it, because each one of us have our own way, and it's some fantastic people who are involved in this all over the world, and everybody's having incredible time playing it, and many people now have incredible time listening to it and the different aspects of it. But what I personally feel that Jewish people over the centuries, they kind of encapsulated the certain type of Yiddishkeit. I don't know. It's the word. The word is. It's a certain character, certain character of that imprinted on us over the centuries of travel, of persecution, of joy, of disasters, and certain outlook on life. And it came out as this concentration in the musical form, in the artistic form, and this just became. Would you say that's the nefesh? I would say that it's a nefesh. I would say it's neshama, and it's something that is that is still alive, that is impossible to kill. And that's what I feel, that when you touch this heritage that we have, it's through that is very easy. We lost a lot of things. We lost a lot of our religious heritage, things connected with Hebrew language that not many people still know. All of the great philosophical, religious, all of the aspects of Jewish life, a lot of it got lost, and now is practiced by a fairly small group of people. But the music is accessible practically to everybody, and it's through that's something that can be incredibly alive, still incredibly connected. And I feel that all of us are kind of trying to get through that, to get connection with the past and kind of step into a future. And this heritage that we have, I find absolutely amazing. It's absolutely amazing. So it's this film that about Beregovsky, what Beregovsky did, is part of the thing that allow us to touch this soul, nefesh and neshama,
And one more time, I would like to thank you, Elena Yakovich, who is amazing director and just one person who could do this movie like it is.
And thank you to the museum.
Thank you so much. And I, of course, want to defer to that answer to the expert. But I think klezmer music, and we have, as I mentioned, a klezmer group coming on August 24th. Peter Rashevsky will be here with Alex Park. You can see all of our upcoming programs on our website. But that music really does bring us back into the deep, rich Jewish tradition, so much of which was lost, and thanks to Beregovsky, we have a lot of that tradition. Before we close, I just wanted to turn to Natalie. I know you're in the works on a next project that continues this story. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
We, after many screenings, festivals, interviews, we understood that this movie is not the end. It's just process, continuation of the movie, and we are working on started to work on the second part, which has a name, Through the Heaven's Gate, Searching for Klezmer. It's going to be about music because there was a lot of questions about klezmer music, and people are asking, would like to see. It's about how musician in the world is, what revival of klezmer music and how musicians in the world are connected through, by the way, through the movie, because after this movie was created, Beregovsky online forum where all klezmer musicians, they are playing together. It happened during COVID. And Igor is going to be, and Walter Feldman is going to be in our movie, and it's going to be a musical movie, and with a lot of klezmer music.
Well, thank you. We'll all look forward to having you back here for that screening. Before we close, did anyone have any last words on the panel? Did anyone else? Did you want to say anything else? No? Well, thank you so much. Elena, Lyudmila, Igor, Natalie, we really appreciate everyone coming tonight, this afternoon, and we're looking forward to seeing you back here soon. Thanks so much.